Hiya, welcome to my channel. I'm Dilly and I decided I was going to make myself a new pair of oven gloves because my existing pair is looking a little bit shabby on that side. As you can see, there's like holes in it and a little bit worn and burnt on those sides. So I've got some material left over from when I was making the masks, and I've also got some wadding and sponge left over from the sofa from when I was making the headboard. It's been lying around for ages. So I've cut two pieces of material the length and shape of the oven gloves. Two more bits of material for the backs of the where the hands go. Two bits of sponge that go in the hand bit with some wadding on. Another piece of wadding that goes through the middle. Some more bits of wadding that are going to go on the hand pieces. I'll show you in a minute when it's all layered and put together. And then some more. It's like wadding, but it's also it's a tighter weave. With this wadding, you can just kind of pull it apart. It's a bit like cotton wool. With this, it's a lot tougher. So I'm going to cut that out as well. When I've got all my different bits sorted, I shall show you the next stage of what I'm going to do. Okay, so I've got my first bit of material that I'm laying right side down. Two bits of sponge, foam, whatever you want to call it, with some wadding on to lay down on the hand ends. It doesn't matter that they're old and manky. The oven gloves are only for me, and you know what it's like when I do something. I fly by the seat of my pants, make it up as I go along. Another bit of wadding in what will be the arm bit, the loopy bit. Two more bits of wadding on the other side. The other bit of material, so this in effect will be the inside of the oven gloves. So now I've got to pin it all the way round. It won't matter that the seams are on the outside because I will be putting bias binding all the way around the edge. But first of all, I might do it that way round. I'm going to stitch without the sponge bits in because it will be easier. I'm going to stitch this in place and do like a crisscross on the stitching just to hold it neatly in place. Thinking about it, need to put that on as well, don't I? So it's all in one piece. And then I'll be stitching the end pieces in place. Afterwards, bias binding all the way around. I've got to also, of course, put some handle bits in there. I may have to think about this a bit longer. I'll come back to you when I've thought about it. I don't know whether you can see this, but I've marked pins at inch intervals, top and bottom, 16 inches apart, I'm going to take these end pieces out. It'll make it easier for me to sew. And then I'm going to attempt to go from this corner where I've got the first pin to the second pin in, and then this one to the third pin in, this one to the fourth pin in, and then I will go back the other way. So then there'll be Chris's going this way and crosses going that way, in theory. So I'm going to attempt to do that now on the sewing machine so that it holds the two pieces of wadding and the two pieces of material together just in that section. That's the first thing I'm going to do. I'll be back. I'm running out of decent lighting now for filming. What I've been doing though is just doing the first stitching from the pin up there by eye to the pin down there, so that I'm getting at the moment a horizontal striped effect. I found that it's better to sew from one end and then turn it round and sew from the other end, because it makes it less ruckled. I think if you were sewing all from the same end, it would just push all the wadding down. So I sew from this end down and then turn it round and sew from this end up, if you like. As I say, I've been just doing it by eye. It doesn't need to be that accurate. So I shall carry on sewing along this way, doing the diagonals this way, and then while I've still got a bit of light to go by, I shall sew the other way, but this time using the stitching as my starting point. So I'll sew from the stitching across to the stitching that way, so I've got a zigzag effect. And then hopefully when I finish that, I can carry on filming and show you the next bit. So yesterday I finished doing the stitching both sides on the central part of the oven gloves. I've left the ends open. So today I will have some more wadding with another piece of material on one of these sides. Probably keep the rose to the rose and the pink to the pink, so that becomes the glove piece that you slide your hand in. Once I've attached those, stitched them on, I will then, in the other piece, put some foam that's got more wadding on the inside, so that I'll have all this with which, because obviously I've got here, I'll have my hand up in there. And that will be the bit that I can pick things up with. So I've got lots of wadding and stuff. So hopefully there'll be enough insulation that I don't burn my hands, because on my other gloves that were bought for me, yes, they've got some wadding in them, but I often burn my hands because it's not enough. So the next stage then is for me to sew on the outside, where I'm going to slide my hand in to make the glove part of the oven glove. First, what I'm going to do is on the piece of the glove that's going to be like that on the back of my hand, I'm going to stitch bias binding along the edge there. You'll see why in a minute. So I've done the part of the glove where I'm going to be putting my hand in. It's actually going to go on the back of here, so it'll go on the pink bit. So my hand will go in here like that. I don't need any extra material on that side. It's a waste of material. Nobody's going to see it. I don't need it. That bit of wadding there is just if I catch my hand on the top of the oven or something, which I have been known to do. Small scars all up my arms, but that's what that's for. So I don't need an extra piece of material. So the next thing I'll be doing is sewing the little glove bits that I've just made onto just the material bit of there on the ends. Obviously I won't be sewing that piece across here. I shall just be sewing around the edge. So that's the next job. So I shall just sew, ooh, that's difficult to say. So I shall just sew round this edge. It doesn't have to be neat, it doesn't have to be that accurate, because once again I shall be putting bias binding all the way around the edge to join all the seams up so that we haven't got any raw edges showing, and to hold all the wadding in. The wadding. Okay. I don't want to sew too fast. Because I want my machine to be able to cope with going through all the layers without whizzing through. I don't need to whiz through. I think these industrial sewing machines, where they go bzzz, bzzz, and they go running through the needle so fast, that needle must be going at such a rate of knots. I know that they're made for that because they're industrial machines. But I just think it's a way of having a little bit more control over it and that not damaging the needle, because if I go through all this thickness too fast, it worries me that I might bend or snap the needle. Probably more adept or professional sewers say, oh no, you don't need to worry about that, but I do. So I'm just going around there once, because as I say, let's just lift the bias over, I'm going back over around the edges with bias binding anyway. That's one end done. Oh no, it's not. Now that's typical. I've run out of bobbin, so I shall wind my bobbin and I shall redo that bit. Come back to you when both ends are done. Okay, so the glove part is on now. Now I've got to sew on each end. The sponge, it's also in wadding. That's going up there for extra wadding, because obviously that's the bit that the hand is going to be nearest to the hot things. Sponge and extra wadding there. And I've got to try and squidge it all in and pin it. I think probably the best thing to do probably pin the top first. This should be interesting. If I manage to get all of this done, squidging these in without swearing, it'll be a miracle. Just when I was doing the outside of the glove pieces where I put my hands in, first of all I made a mistake, so I had to unpick it. Then the bobbin ran out, so I had to rethread it just as I was starting again. Fortunately, I suppose. The main cotton reel ran out, so I had to go and get another one and rethread. These things are sent to try us. Just wondering if it's better to stitch it this side or that side. Nah, I'll stitch it this side, seeing as I've started pinning it that side now. Once I've pinned it all and stitched it initially, obviously I'll do both ends first, and then I am going to put bias binding all the way around. I will show you that stage when I'm there. The end bits are now sewn. I'm going to trim round rough bits here, and then I shall start in the middle with the bias binding. I will add a piece of elastic so that I can hang them up on my towel and rack. Towel and oven glove rack, I suppose. I shall work my way round with the bias binding all the way round the top of the glove, all the way down the other side, and all the way around, and join back up at the initial point. When I've done that, it should be finished. Right, I've roughly trimmed the edges to make the bias binding go on easier. I'm leaving the roll intact and just feeding it round. I've got the first pin in place that's holding the little bit of elastic and the first bit of bias binding. I am not going to pin all the way round. I'm going to live dangerously and just feed it round as I go. I think what I might do is do the edge nearest the outer edge first, and then I may go back round again doing the inner edge. But first, I'm just going to get those bits of elastic attached, which of course will also be attached when I come round the other way and fit the last bit of bias binding on. Okay, well, here goes nothing. I'm scared. Goes wrong now. I've got a lot of unpicking to do. Okay, I shall continue on in the same vein. all the way round, and then I'll show you when it's finished. I've gone round once, I'm nearly at the end. I've cut a tiny little slit in the bias binding here so that I can poke the elastic through. I'm just going to finish doing the first round, and then I'm going to go round again closer to the outside stitch, or perhaps it's the inside stitch, I don't know. That's going over the elastic again. And that's joining up the bias binding. And then what I'm going to do, excuse me, is just put my needle further in so that instead of this flapping here like that, I'm going to do another stitch all the way along here on the inside edge so that it holds it down securely. So I'll get on with that now. Going down the last straight now for the second time. Let's get all the ends tucked in. There you go, that'll do, pig. One pair of oven gloves made from bits of material and bits of sofa. So that's the finished article. If you'd like to subscribe to my channel, just press the doobly down there and it will notify you when I release my chats on Tuesday and makes on Friday. And until I see you next time, take care.